What's going on? So after a couple months of debating and one company, shout out Vivid Racing, screwing me over by not shipping it, I finally got a catless downpipe for my Audi. Shout out to ARM. Well, of course, never made a video about it, but I currently have an A4 B8.5, and if you notice behind me, that's my secondary resonator and my muffler, because I've of course taken off the exhaust parts because I like a loud car, and I decided that it is about time to just go ahead and get rid of my cat. So here we go. Alright, well, it's 2 days later and I do not have the ARM downpipe in. I'll explain why once I get the stock one back out. I basically spent 5 hours trying to get that old or the stock one out. 1 second. But I spent 5 hours trying to get the old one out, and as you can see, I had to put it back in because, unbeknownst to me, the flange of the ARM one actually does not fit. Interesting enough. So first off, here's the presentation. Here's it in a box, yay. And on the car, these holes are about 2.5 inches or so, but on this flange it's 2.25. So I mean, you can't really tell, but of course that 1/4 inch makes a difference, because you're trying to line up two studs and it doesn't line up, you can't get it on. So I spent 4 hours trying to play with the car on ramps to get the other downpipe out, just to find out it doesn't fit, and then spend another hour or so just putting it back in since it didn't work. So that's why I'm just gonna put that box to the side. And the reason why it's 2 days later is because ECS Tuning shipping takes 2 days. So they gave me a gasket kit with new bolts for the downpipe and for the turbo side. And these gaskets look a little higher quality, which is nice. And then of course this was bubble wrapped. I already took it out, looked at it, and the presentation is just a lot better, I will say. Like, has the ECS tuning right here, which is kind of cool. And here I can show you the example of, so this is the top. This is going to be the top right here. I'm going to start at 1 inch just to line it up a little easier. And as you can see, it's right around that 2.5 mark, or I guess 3.5. And I'm not getting that back out of the bag because it pissed me off, so I'm just gonna leave it there. But I will be taking out the stock and I'll keep y'all updated. So the first few steps, of course, get your car on some ramps so you can crawl under it, or if you're bougie or have some jack stands. I bought the wrong jack, so that's a whole nother story. First thing you're going to want to do, there's the O2 plug right here. Go ahead and pull out. I'm going to struggle with one hand. Go ahead and, well, just, there we go. And there's going to be that little clip. Just pull that out. You can just unplug it right here. The second one is usually mounted back here. I got frustrated, broke that clip off.
but you can just unplug it there, and that's the back O2 sensor. I advise go ahead and take out the air box completely. There's a rubber little grommet here. There's two that get stuck down there. And then once you have all that out, you'll actually be able to pull the pipe straight through here instead of struggling going down. And it prevents you from having to remove the second section of pipes. And if you still have all your stock exhaust, then you might risk actually breaking the connector that's under the car. That's what happened to me. That's why, if you can see, I got that good old AutoZone fastener right there. And to, of course, make it easier on you, you will have to take off the first two sections, well, the only two sections of paneling underneath your car. And of course, that's this one and that back one. Ignore all the oil on my car because it, of course, leaks slightly from the valve cover gasket, but that's like $3,500 to fix. I don't have the tools to do it myself, so that'll be something that I have to eventually do. But yeah, I'll keep y'all updated. And this is what I was talking about. There's just like two little rubber grommets, and then this rubber grommet mounts here in those two holes. Once you have that out, you can also get to that bottom bolt a lot easier with a ratchet or a wrench, either way. This just honestly helps with clearance and everything. So I do suggest taking that out, or else you will have to drop the downpipe down, and I promise you it's not easy. So just do it this way. You'll be able to get it out the top. It works a lot better. So I already took the O2s out. Right here, you're gonna want to get these with a wrench. It's probably gonna be the easiest to loosen them. I suggest getting some ratcheting wrenches. Ratcheting wrenches, I mean, they're not necessary. It just helps you from having to constantly pull off and put back on to the nut. And then that back first one, in that back corner, you're probably gonna want to use, I believe this is a 10-inch, might be a foot, I don't know, but you'll have to snake it in underneath here, and of course it's gonna be hard to do with one hand, but as you can see, it gets, yeah, this is hard with one hand. There we go. And then you'll have it right there. I did use a breaker bar. It's always easier, just use the breaker bar, knock it a little loose, and you'll be able to get it. You'll essentially be doing the same thing with the bottom one in that bottom other corner. Just take a breaker bar, feed it underneath. My problem right now is the Cat is hot as hell just from running it to get it onto the ramps. But hopefully, you know, cool down by the time I get to that bottom one, because you'll want to stick your hand down in this hole and kind of just guide the socket onto that nut, and then you'll be able to just remove it no problem. And of course, with a ratchet, you'll probably get like 4 clicks, 5 clicks, so it does take a while, but once you get these loose enough, you can just unthread them with your hand. And luckily, if I do drop one, lose one, ECS Tuning came with replacements, so I probably will be putting on those replacements just because it'll look better. Alright, so unbolted down there, unbolted these 4 right here, finally got the old one out, and now I'm gonna go grab the O2s. Well, I'm actually gonna replace those gaskets because the ECS Tuning one came with new ones, so I'll replace the turbo gasket and then lower in the new one and start to button it all up. Alright, and I officially tightened these top 4. I'm gonna go down below, connect that flange. ECS Tuning came with a gasket and some screws, but I will say, if you're connecting the stock exhaust, you'll either have to just reuse the original bolts and nuts because they're actually press fitted on that bottom piece, and I broke 2 of them, so I just drilled them out, and that's why I'm only using 2 of these. And don't forget to put back on your little bracket. Of course, this will keep the weight off the turbo, and of course right now it's just held on by the turbo, but I'll hop underneath and I'll show y'all how it looks from down there. Alright, so as you see, got the new gasket in there, got those bolts up here. I'm not sure how easy that it will be to see. There's that stock stud. These were drilled out. Here's that hanger I was talking about. It flips up, and then you use that spring bolt to get that part. And I'm just gonna tighten these up, and I'll be able to just put this skid plate back on, and I will be going back up top to put the air box in, and it will be officially done. So I got that spring back in. I got these bottom 2 tightened. This top one I need to get from the top. The way that I do it is I grab all my extensions, just run it up through here, and I'll just tighten it. So I'm gonna get out from under the car. Maybe one more time I gotta get under there, and then after that I'll be officially done underneath the car. So let's see. I'm just gonna get that top bolt tightened and then should be done. ECS Tuning, there's a slight bend that's not in the OEM downpipe. So as you see, I'll be able to do that. But I got a swivel at the end of that, and I got the extension running all the way through here, and you can just tighten it that way. Alright, so that one bolt's tightened. Just go ahead and take out these plugs for the O2s. And there's one more right there. Go ahead and get that out. I probably could have put the O2s on before putting in the pipe, but clearance issues, I just want to make sure that I could actually get it in without struggling. The one with the shortest cable is going to be the one that goes up front. The easiest way to tell, of course, is that piece that latches on to that plastic bracket will be up here, and then the other one will run, of course, behind. You'll need a 22. A 22 will get that in there. But of course, this back one is a pain, just because it's a very awkward position. But once you do get that in, of course, you got a little clearance. As y'all can see, it's kind of hitting right there, but it's okay because it goes in. Grab your 22, and of course just give it a snug them up. I'm not sure the torque spec or anything, but I'm just gonna snug them up. Should be good. I mean, if I throw a check engine light, it's probably because of the Highflow Cat. Of course, that's one downside of going with ECS Tuning, is the one they had in stock was the Highflow Cat. They didn't have a cat delete, but in hindsight, it's probably going to be better having a cat in there because it may or may not throw a code. But if it does throw code, I gotta kind of explore options on how. Probably just get it tuned so it doesn't get mad. But there it's in. I'm gonna go ahead and just button up everything. Of course, this piece goes right there. This one wraps around and plugs back in right here. And of course it's directional. Alright, make sure you hear the audible click. Same here, just click and then just kind of wedge it back in here. I think I just broke it. No, I just didn't put it on. Yeah. Well, I just broke that little clip. But, oh well. This cable will be held right there. Drop my mass airflow sensor again. Alright, so now get the airbox back in. I guess I can go ahead and grab it. I actually put it in my floorboard because why not? So it's a little tricky to get this back in. You kind of gotta like wedge it, but I'll get that back in, get everything buttoned up, and I'll check back in. So I got the airbox back in. Of course, don't forget, plug in your mass air. Just gonna go through, check one more time, make sure everything is plugged in, everything's back in place. I guess I'll go underneath and put that panel back on, and then after I put that panel back on, I'll be able to get a cold start, because of course the engine's nice and cold, and it will be my first time actually hearing my exhaust. It looks pretty nice, ECS tuning. And let's go ahead and throw that panel back on, and then we should be good to go.